They call me the problem, but you could call me the can man, because anybody can get it. Africans, Americans, Dominicans.
How you doing, everyone? My name is Ryan and this is Ade, and welcome back to another edition of Box Talk. George Grove returns against Mama's boy, Denis Douglin, in a stay busy fight on the undercard of Bellew Cleverly. Also, we got Scott Quigg versus
Hidenori
Otake.
Yeah.
In another stay busy fight.
Yeah. No offense.
Let's take a look. Let's start with Denis Douglin.
Yeah.
Ali, what do you think?
George Groves is still rebuilding. There's definitely still rebuilding. We watched the Rebrasse fight. We don't want to really go into that again. The tank seemed to empty from round 7, 8 onwards. I don't know if that was adrenaline and nerves, everything just kind of falling down. But the tank seemed to empty. So I think he needs to still rebuild for me. Everyone was talking about anti-Durrell fight after. We kind of said he needs a couple of fights in between. More than one possibly. Yeah. And I think this is a good fight for him to take in between. Is he just been put on the card to kind of sell the card, get a name? Yes, probably. But for me, for George Groves, every fight for me is a risky fight for him now. I don't think George Groves was chinny. Yeah. But there's something about George Groves' style for me that
doesn't look stable.
Yeah. He almost throws punches and leaves himself wide open. You feel like someone's got a bit of power and clocks you, you're gone.
Yeah, this fight here, I think it's a typical stay busy fight, and I think it's not a bad stay busy fight considering it's short notice.
Yes.
For a top 10 contender, you normally want that 6 to 8 week training camp. He's barely gonna get 4, so that's a good thing. Also,
and he's massive at the weight, George Groves.
Also,
so
yeah.
Hopefully he's not gone too far.
Also, a good turnaround time as well, because his fight with
when was Rebrasse? September.
Not long ago.
Yeah, September,
maybe a month ago. You know what I mean? So it's a good turnaround time overall for him. So I'm very happy with that movement. His opponent, jokes aside with the Mama boy, blame Sky Sports for that. But it's a type of fight where this guy
everything to win. Everything. Nothing to lose
coming over,
whatsoever.
Going to get a good payday for coming short notice onto a marquee pay-per-view card
against a top 10
super middleweight. This is a guy that you don't sleep on. Regardless of what his record says, if he's good or if he's bad, he's coming to win.
Look, see, after the Carl Froch fight, everyone on Twitter went crazy and said George Groves would beat every other super middleweight out there apart from Andre Ward and Carl Froch. I was like, calm down, people. And now it's completely reversed. Where people are even thinking Callum Smith's got a chance. Styles make fights. That's the thing. George Groves' style was always going to be awful for Carl Froch, because Carl Froch's feet are so flat-footed and George Groves has a bit of movement. It doesn't mean he's anywhere near a top 2, top 3 super middleweight in the world. And I think that's proven in the last fight.
This is what I keep saying, and you all know my favourite phrase, like I said, is be fair to the sport. Yes, George Groves is doing good. Yes, but you've got to look at the whole bigger picture, not just at one fighter or one promoter says. You've got to look at the whole division, where everyone stands, who they fought, how they fought, who they won with, who they lost with, and put it together collectively. Not it's not a single thought process.
I think people are doing that now with George Groves. I think after that Carl Froch KO and the Rebrasse fight, people have almost calm down a little bit, take a step back, and I think even George Groves himself has taken a step back, which is why I like the fact that he wouldn't take this fight on short notice, because he knows himself he needs a couple more fights before a potential big summer showdown with Anthony Durrell. But what are Sky Sports doing with the James DeGale thing? It's like they're trying to build that back up again.
Yeah, they are.
Is it because they both know that Anthony Durrell doesn't really want to fight? James DeGale ain't going to get Carl Froch. So they're trying to build up another super fight between you guys?
Sky sometimes act as a de facto promoter. Adam Smith sometimes at the press conferences, and they kind of build it up themselves and try to act like they're promoters. Which is good for the sport. Especially that they've got the Apple deal with Matchroom, so it makes perfect sense. But again, be fair to the sport. Do they really want to fight each other now? No, they don't. Groves got a mandatory for a world title. Why fight a rematch of a guy you've already beaten, no matter how close it was, when you got a mandatory?
I feel like they were trying to force them questions, and you can tell both of them were like, we don't really want this fight now.
So I mean, James DeGale again. Now I'm trying to say
mandatory shot.
So you get my point. Yeah. There's no need for them to fight right now because they're both on different directions, both going for world titles. So Sky doing that doesn't really do nothing for me.
Quickly, how does George Groves win? If he does win, do you think he wins?
I'm going for George Groves to win again. I'm going with a stoppage. I'll say early to middle. I think that with his new promotion deal with Sauerland, with the short notice of this guy,
they looked at this guy.
They looked at this guy and they've seen something and said, it's a safe enough fight to put on the card. And that's what I think. And that's no criticism to Douglin, but it is what it is.
Yeah, I've watched a couple of Douglin fights since this fight's been announced, and like George Groves, he has an all-American boxer seems to have a bit of speed, a bit of movement. He's not massive at the weight George Groves is, but I expect him to cause George Groves a bit. George Groves, one advantage George Groves over everyone is hand speed and foot speed. I don't think he has that advantage of this guy. He definitely has power over this guy. This guy has no power really at all. But I expect him to be competitive. I expect George Groves, like you say, to stop him late. I think he needs to stop him late. I don't think George Groves can do the rounds. I don't think he's fit enough to do the rounds as well. If he's taking time off, if he's gone up in weight a bit, I don't think he's fit enough to do the rounds as well. Needs to stop him late, make a statement. If he makes a statement, then possibly Anthony Durrell next. If he doesn't, then he has to fight again for me in February, and then Anthony Durrell in the summer.
We'll see. Scott Quigg. I'm going to start with Scott
your
Quigg.
boy.
Because Ade is not a huge fan of Mr. Quigg.
We've argued about Quigg.
Yeah, we've argued about Quigg many times. Yeah. For me, Scott Quigg seems to be the most unluckiest world champion in boxing right now.
You create your own luck.
No fight seems to go off. Yeah. Everyone pulls out, someone gets injured, something happens here or there, and he's not getting the marquee names. Because of this, his profile has fallen off a lot. He's a world champion that's always fighting on the undercards or other fighters because his brand is suffering.
Yeah, good point.
It's not his fault. You can't force people to fight you. I'm trying to say you can't force them. But I think it's time now for Eddie Hearn and Matchroom and Quigg to say, look, we need to go for the bigger fights because these other guys are not fighting me. Get me the Quiggs. Get me the get me the Framptons. Get me the Santa Cruz
and the big boy.
We need to go for these guys now because this is not giving no career progression.
It's not. The thing for Quigg though, even with the pullouts, and I'm not a Quigg hater by the way as well, I respect his skills, he's a good fighter, he's unbeaten, you hats off. Even with the pullouts, the names before the pullouts weren't big names. Yeah. You know, for a world champion, and we've said it, once you get that title, you've said this more than anyone, once you get a title, you have to start fighting people. You have to fight the names. So even the guys that have pulled out for me haven't been, even like the marquee names. To me, obviously, look, Kid Galahad's name was mentioned for this fight. Again, it probably wouldn't have happened. It's probably for promotion. It helps Kid Galahad. I would have liked him to come out and say, I'll fight him right now. You know,
but he can't lift it to Matchroom
to kind of sort.
And like a press release type of scenario.
And I feel like when you talk about profile building, you got to build your profile here first, and I think he's still doing it. And a Kid Galahad fight, although it might have been a bit risky, is a profile builder.
Like I said, you know, I said in another video, and I'm trying to say, Hennessy was very, very smart when he released that offer.
Fantastic.
Very, very smart, yeah. Because Quigg already had the fight signed, for the 22nd of November. This was for the 6th of December in another country with a whole bunch of money. It's a very nice way to make someone look like you're ducking someone when you're not really ducking someone.
And it helped Galahad's profile like that.
It did. It got the press clippings. It got everyone asking questions, you know what I mean?
Why are you not fighting him?
Yeah, but like I said, you got to be fair to the sport and see what's happening. And like a Quigg could not do that fight at that time. If the offer was made as of now for early next year, I think the fight will happen. And I think it's not a fight that is as big as the other fights out there, but it's big enough to raise the profile. Yeah,
look, he's fighting this a guy called Otake. Again, we're not going to lie to you, we've not seen any of these kids' fights. We had a look on BoxRec, and this guy has literally fought every single person in a town hall in Japan.
In Japan, the same town hall for every fight.
And every opposition has been Japanese. Yeah. I could be wrong, I'm going by names, they look all Japanese. Eddie Hearn will do a good job by saying this guy, he's not lost in he's unbeaten. Then you've got to look at records and who he's fighting. This guy's fought no one of substance. Nobody.
There's two problems you have when you fight someone like this. One, you don't know what they really have because there's not enough good videotapes, evidence of the person, I'm trying to say. Yeah. But two, you also know this guy does not like travelling or doesn't travel, has not been on a bigger stage, has always been in the home comforts.
This is it.
So as much as you have to be aware that you don't know what this guy does, you also know that you could play with him a little bit.
Thing for Scott Quigg is a completely win-lose situation here. Yeah. He stops the guy in two. Yeah, you fought a guy from Japan that doesn't travel. He goes all the distance. Everyone's like, well, why is he going distance with this kid? The kid even gets a shot on him. It's like, what? Scott Quigg's not really ready. Scott Quigg wins nothing for this fight. And that's the problem with Scott Quigg's last 3 or 4 fights. Yeah. The last 3 or 4 opponents, unfortunately for him, whether he's won or not, have raised his profile 0. Yeah. And while his profile was, while him and Frampton were like that, you have to admit, Frampton's profile's gone like that a bit. Yeah. Scott Quigg obviously is still a world champion, but he needs to really take on a challenge and fight someone big. Or those negotiations for Frampton are going to get harder and harder. Because look, right now it's a 50-50 negotiation for me. Yeah. The longer it takes, Frampton's going to want a bit more of that purse. That's
exactly what's going to happen.
Yeah.
And that's it.
And the fight ain't going to happen.
And you couldn't blame.
You can't blame Frampton's team for wanting that right now because his profile's a bit bigger.
Exactly.
How does he go?
I'm going for Quigg by stoppage.
Yeah,
again, I have no reason to say no other reason why, because I do not know his opponent. But you're the world champion. You need to make a statement, especially if you want the big fights.
I think.
Yeah,
I'm going for Quigg stoppage as well. Look, Quigg, look, again, only because I like Frampton a bit better. That's not taking away from Quigg's skills. I think Quigg has got serious skills. He puts it together. His body shots are devastating. And I expect him to get this kid out of with a body shot. Yeah. So that's what I think. So there you go. We have Quigg on the card. We have George Groves on the card. It's a good card. Again, this I guess these kind of two fights underline what we're talking about in terms of it being substance. And these are not substance fights. But we think both of them are going to win. Email us, guys, what your thoughts are at.
Boxtalk at hotmode.co.uk. I don't know if you post on Twitter at Boxtalk UK. Also, thanks to Al Heyman. It couldn't be possible without Heyman and everything. You know how it goes.
Oh, yeah,
everyone's doing it. We might as well do the same thing.
Thanks to Al Heyman for everything in boxing. Got to let Al Heyman shout out before God. Thanks to Al Heyman, then my mum, then God.